Hi, my name is Sophia Scherr, and this is my response to the Bunraku film. When I first started the film, there was an introduction, but it was sort of hard to follow, which I thought was kind of confusing because the introduction kind of introduced the entire movie, and there's a lot of background that was kind of hard to follow. I thought this film was hard to keep up with because it was so artistic. There was a lot of elements that were hard to keep up with, and it was very unique. I understand that it was an artistic choice to use Bunraku theater as the influence, but some aspects weren't really shown through. It was a bit frustrating because I didn't get the plot, and I thought it was a little violent for my taste. This film would cross in between worlds, and the characters would be in a Japanese restaurant, then they'd be in the Old West, which I thought was kind of confusing. The characters would be interacting, but then they would be in different places, so it would kind of bounce back, and it was kind of confusing. It was trying to be its own movie while interacting a play at the same time. This made it confusing to tell where the movies took place. The woman in the film who was set to be the main character seemed to have a pretty irrelevant part. It would be confusing to why she was going somewhere with a certain character and what her story was and what the purpose was. I think they just needed a woman in the film to show less male dominance because in Japanese theater, a lot of women aren't allowed to perform in the theater, and men are usually played by the women. This film was unlike anything I've seen, which I was open to at first, but inevitably was not pleased with how the movie turned out. For prop 2, I noticed the influence the film's plot, which had throughout the whole movie in Japanese theater. The whole set of the movie was just like a theater set, but in regular films, sets are made to look like the real world, but this one was set to look mystical and like a set, like a theater set. I noticed the combat techniques were similar to Japanese theater. The music in the background during the fight scenes resembled Japanese theater themes. This is when I saw connections to no theater. The way some of the scenes were portrayed looked like a no kind of performance, because Bunraku is puppets, but real people weren't the puppets. The way some of the scenes were portrayed, it looked like some of the puppets, not the puppets, but the people were acting like puppets, so I think that's what the Bunraku kind of elements were portrayed in the movie. I also noticed the film had a lot of graphic novel tone to the visuals, which I thought was kind of random for being a Bunraku themed film with an artistic view, which I thought was kind of interesting. This film was easier to understand having studied world theater genres, but with a regular person watching, they probably wouldn't understand a lot of what was going on. The film has a Bunraku element because the characters are being puppeted by those around them and the killers, and the drifter comes in and breaks this cycle. I saw this theme when the woman who was being controlled by killer number 2, she was being puppeted by him. For prompt 3, I noticed how unique the film was, really different from the movie, and how Bunraku was dominating the characters who spoke English. There is a definite distinction between the Japanese themes and the story, but they seem not to go well together. I think this film supports cultural appropriation because of how the film was named Bunraku and only had 3 Japanese actors and the rest were all white. This film was made differently than other movies, but there's an unequal balance. There was an old American saloon that they go into, and then there's also a Japanese restaurant, which again is kind of a contrasting idea in where the film was set. I thought this was offensive because there's no clear background, and I think that it should have been more based on Japanese culture. The film kept jumping from place to place without establishing a location, which I thought was interesting because I wanted to know where the film was set and what the story was, but everything was really confusing for me personally. I didn't notice any negative racial tones in the film, which I thought was good, and this film was really unique because of the plot. The story was misguided, and a lot of different elements were kind of misleaded in the film, such as the women, where did she end up, and the drifter, where did he end up? And I thought this film would have been represented if it was made differently with a more prominent Japanese cast, and probably made a different way and less artistic. This is my response for the Bunraku film. Hope you enjoyed it.